Hello. So I forgot to turn off my camera yesterday. So YouTube today is on my crappy webcam until further notice because my camera needs to charge past 10%. So yeah, I don't know how. I've been so diligent with like charging my electronics and stuff like that, and it's so incredibly crazy that this one time I did not do that. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Hi, Christina. Oh, good to see you. Also, hello. Hi, Juju. Hi, Grumpy. Hi, Michael. Hi, Armin. Hi, Paul. And hello, everyone. I have, well, do you guys want to see Liv? Liv is back home. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Brian. Ah, that's cool. Hi, Michael. Am I staying safe tonight? I guess as safe as one can. Hi, Lynn. One sec. Let me grab Lizzie's. Guys, you are so cute right now. I don't want to disturb you, but you gotta show yourself. You little rascal. Tell him what you did. Tell him what you did 5 minutes into coming back home. Okay, so this little sausage, right? This sausage. She was at her trainer's for like 4 days or 5 days or something. Hi, Chad, right? And she came back home. And you know what she did the minute that she came back home? She got into my bag, in which I had a croissant, a packed croissant, on the bottom of the bag. And guess who? Guess who ate half a croissant? Croissant. My dog is a French bulldog. That is what she is. Yes, she does have heterochromia. She does have 2 different color eyes. And she is also, you know, a little asshole. Because literally not even 10 minutes into her coming back home, she got into my bag and got a croissant. And the reason why this is so incredibly upsetting, thank you, Tawny, is because she was at the trainer's house being trained for like 5 days. Specifically so she would stop doing things like getting into the trash and getting into my bags, and she could not care less right now. Like, this dog is passed out on me. You know, her life is fantastic. Like, look at that. She's just like, paws up, does not care. Like, I'm sorry, this is so ridiculous. I didn't even realize how ridiculous this looked until I just saw this from the angle of like the camera. And yeah, this dog just does not care. Liv, you alive? Hello? Hello, bud. Yeah, no. Literally, Play-Doh. Play-Doh dog. Look at that. Absolutely 0 F's given. Oh yeah, did I disturb you? Okay. Liv trusts you but needs to obey you. Oh, Liv has really, really large issues with obedience. Like, much issues with obedience. For instance, you know, I tell her to sit and she just ignores me. Well, I mean, I did make her sit today, and then I pulled out a thing of water, and she immediately got up, and I took the water away and I said, sit, and she was concentrated on the water and she wouldn't sit anymore. So yeah, Liv over here is a tough little cookie, you know, who really, really doesn't like obeying and just really, really is a very lazy little bulldog that wants to live its existence on its own rules. Cinny, however, is a much more trained little creature. I wish you could see this from the angle from which I see this, because it is just Play-Doh dog. Look at that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No bother in the world. Okay, Baba, I get it. Okay. Should be easy to cut her nails. Nope. So you would think, but no. Okay. All right. All right, little piggy. You go sleep near Cindy. Yes, yes, you go there. Good night. Yes, I did. Oh my gosh. Okay, first she's not going to go sleep near Cindy. She's going to go sleep on the couch because why not? Ah, hi, Ian. Rare chance to catch a live. Yeah, well, did you catch Liv before I put her back where she came from? Um, yes, I have. Yes, she has been tested for absolutely everything. Michael, she is okay, but I do appreciate the concern, of course. Thank you so much. Uh, did you fat shame your doggo? No, it's just French bulldogs literally look like pigs, so I call them little piggies. Hi, Gord. Hi, Michael, again. And hi, Paige. I've missed you. Where have you been? I've been here the whole time. I mean, I've been doing lives at about this time. I was gone for like a month because I was home in Lviv, trying to pay attention to my parents and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm in Ukraine. For those of you who didn't know, I semi-permanently moved back to Ukraine. I would say moved back to Kyiv, but the thing is, like, I've never lived in Kyiv before because I'm from Lviv and that's where I was born and raised. So I moved back to Ukraine and I moved to Kyiv. Is Kyiv safe right now? Well, there is no air raid at the moment, at least not that I know of. Yeah, so that's about it. I don't know. I wouldn't say that Ukraine is ever safe, so not really. Has there been any shelling in your area? No, not recently, which is actually odd. One second. One sec. Sorry, I have to write something to my mods. But earlier in the war, I mean, Kyiv has been shelled multiple times. Kyiv usually is shelled every time that something big happens, or there is a holiday in Ukraine or a celebration of some sort. So yeah, Kyiv has been shelled multiple times. Animal 69. I know Chernivtsi and Kharkiv are both under alerts. Yeah. So is Odessa again. Odessa has been catching no breaks, and Kharkiv has been catching literally no breaks since the beginning of the invasion. Kharkiv, hi, James. Kharkiv is literally at the border with Russia. It's like 30 kilometers from Russia. So yeah, Kharkiv gets shelled all the time. It seems a lot of Ukraine is under alert tonight. Yes, it doesn't. I don't think Kyiv is, at least not. At least not. At least not yet. So we will see later in the night what's going to happen. I really hope that we're not going to have another air raid, because I do have a meeting tomorrow at noon and it's an important one. And you would think like, wow, noon is not that early, but yeah, if you're up till like 5 a.m. because of an air raid, it really is. Because if you think about it, that's 7 hours of sleep right there. Oh, hi, Ramiz. Thank you. Or Ramiz. I think it's Ramiz, but you please correct me if I'm wrong. I do like to pronounce people's names correctly. Is the protective equipment the U.S. sent helping? I mean, yes, but it's not enough. Like, we need more Patriots, we need more vampires, we need more SMTs, we need more everything, really. Do you teach English? Are you in Kyiv? I don't teach English. I'm not a teacher. I'm not an educator. I'm not a professor, and I don't. Yeah, I don't teach English. I am in Kyiv, however, but yeah, I'm not. I'm not a tutor by any means. I'm sorry. It was good to see another. You seem to be always about the war. How does it affect your mental health? You seem to be. I'm actually only going to answer the first part of this question. You seem to be always about a war. I wonder, why would someone who lives in a war zone constantly talk about the war that affects their lives, the lives of everyone they know who are at the front, the lives of everyone they know who live in cities that are being shelled every day, and the lives of everyone in this country because, we're in a full-scale invasion. Why would I be talking about a war? I wonder. Is there a war in my country? Maybe there is like a genocide happening due to a Russian invasion that brutally murders civilians and military personnel as well. And civilians had to become military personnel because we are attacked by a country 3 times our population at the very least, actually 4. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, why on earth would I be talking about the war? How does war affect your mental health? I don't know. You could come to Kyiv or Kharkiv or literally any Ukrainian city and you can find out. I feel like you should come here and find out because it does seem like you have zero clue. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like sometimes for people who ask questions like that, it would be proactive to come to Ukraine and see what it's like to live in a war zone. Hi, is there any package service that is reliably getting things from the US to Kyiv right now? Yes, Meest, MEEST. So it's MEEST, it's Meest, and also Nova Poshta. So New Post, Nova Poshta, NOVA, POSHTA, Nova Poshta, also now has an office in New Jersey, and they ship to Ukraine, but they do not ship from Ukraine to the US, at least as far as I know. Wait. Ihor, I appreciate that you have so many questions, but I can't answer all of them every single live because I need to give an opportunity to other people to ask questions as well, and I also need to be able to do the news, and I end up answering questions for most of the time in every live, and then I do the news, and I'm not able to get through all the news. Also, wait, there was something else that I saw that I wanted to respond to. Opinion on St. Javelin. I'm from Lviv. I mean, St. Javelin is just a company that makes t-shirts and stuff like that, and donates part of the profits to Ukraine. But also, here is the thing. So while St. Javelin built a brand on being like partially a charity, right? Most Ukrainian businesses donate about... I didn't delete your comments. I don't delete comments. I'm literally, my hands are here. So if you have any questions to a comment that was deleted, then it was either filtered by YouTube or you can ask the mods. I'm literally like, I also never really touch. So here's something that I need to specify. I get people constantly like being annoyed at me for like being blocked or for being, I don't know, like shushed or for comments being deleted or for something like that. First of all, a lot of the times comments are filtered by TikTok and YouTube or YouTube, depending on which platform you're at. And then also, I don't really block or filter or yada yada anyone. My mods do. So if you have that question, please don't come at me with with accusations. If you have a question, ask it to one of the mods. Okay, so wait, I missed something. Oh, St. Javelin. Yeah, so the thing about St. Javelin is that it was kind of unique in the beginning of the invasion, right? Which I'm not saying like it's great. I mean, my friend works there. It's this is not in any way negative towards St. Javelin, but it's something that I feel like is a good thing for people to know, is that most Ukrainian brands donate 20 to 40% of their profits to the Ukrainian military. Like Dodo Socks does, Vish Knitwear does, basically every Ukrainian like fashion brand or something like that, they all donate to the army. So most Ukrainian businesses do. So I would advise that if you want to buy, if you like St. Javelin's items and you're buying them because you really like them, then that's cool. If you're buying St. Javelin items because you get something in return and you're also donated to the military, then I highly recommend that you just buy from Ukrainian brands, and you buy clothing items that are actually really cool and like fashionable clothing, and you get to donate anyway. And someone says 20% of profits is really low. Have you ever run a business? Do you understand how expensive it is to keep a company? Because you have to pay your employees, and you also have to rent whatever spaces you're selling your clothes in. You have to maintain the website. You have to pay people that maintain the website. You have to pay a social media manager that makes your company even discoverable so you can make sales. Yeah, 20% of sales is not low. 20% of sales donated to charity is actually a very high number. 10 and 5% is is quite low. Actually pretty average and standard. 20% is a lot of your profit to donate to a cause, because the other 80 needs literally goes towards having to pay your employees, paying rent, paying utilities, paying for suppliers, paying for things like that. 20% is quite a lot. So yeah. Anyways, hi Brandy, hi Niels, hi Mr. Squiggle. Does anyone know the front situation? Yes, we'll get there. About the neighbors blasting music, did they ever get caught? I don't know. They were blasting music yesterday. At some point, they were blasting music today. I think we have discovered. I think we may have discovered who that is, and maybe the security was able to talk to them, but I haven't spoken about that to security today yet. Cindy, hey, Sin, 1 sec, sorry. Cindy, come here. Domana. Please stop doing that. Thank you. Go sleep in your bed, Bella. I love you, but please stop doing that. Okay, sorry. Cindy is just doing some stuff that she's not supposed to be doing. Are you really Ukrainian? Your English is amazing. Did you expect me to speak like that? Would that be more palatable for you, or easily digestible? I don't know why I can speak the way that I speak and still really be Ukrainian. And it's also, I feel like, a very demeaning question, because it makes it sound like Ukrainians can't speak English well. I really don't like that, and I think that that's very disrespectful. Yes, I am really Ukrainian. Yes, I do speak English very well as many other Ukrainians. I can give you links to many other Ukrainians that also do not speak English like this, because not everybody does, and people are able to learn languages. Has Liv returned home? Yes, she's right here, actually. Like right under the desk. Both Liv and Cindy. Your American is better than Dan Rather in his prime. Oh my god. It makes you sound like Lavrov. No. Can I repeat what? Can I repeat what? What am I supposed to repeat? I'm not doing the accent again. No, that was a one-time thing. You snooze, you lose. Thank you, Allie. And also, hi. So we started the live today very strong with Rachel donating $10, just like she did either yesterday or the day before. So thank you very much. And we are now at $11,109.79. So as a reminder, maybe we can get to $11,400 today or $300. It's been quite a good roll, and I don't want to jinx it. Don't want to jinx it, but maybe we can close this fundraiser soon enough. Hi, Debbie. So if you would like to donate to our fundraiser for 6 DJI Mavic 3 Pro drones for 3rd Separate Assault Brigade, there is a link in my bio, and Grumpy also just posted it right here in the comments. And you can find out more about the fundraiser there. And you can also find my PayPal, Venmo, Revolut, and Monabank. And who's Ukrainian in this chat? There might be a few people on YouTube, but I'm not sure. There are quite a few people on TikTok who are Ukrainian. Liv, what are you doing? Liv, hey. Why are my dogs going crazy? Hey, Liv, what are you doing? Okay, fine. Jesus Christ. Every one of your donations during the live is going to be announced in real time and counted into the total, because I can see them pop up on the screen. If you are donating, outside of live hours, then all of the donations are going to be announced in the beginning of the live. There have been none in the past couple of days outside the live hours. But if there were, then they would be counted in and announced in the beginning of the live. So do you have a banka on Monobank? Yes, I do, actually. It doesn't have a ton of donations. Most of them have been through PayPal and Venmo. But yes, I do have a Monobank jar, and it is also in the link in bio. And I'll go to Crimea to kiss the flag. So Grumpy just posted a link, so it's beacons.ai/fundraiser. But if you're on TikTok and you're not sure where to donate, then you can go to my profile, and if you click over here, it'll bring you, if you click on my link in bio, the one that says beacons. Це не фонди. Це зараз секундочку. So you go here. Oh, $5 from Dave. And there is more about the fundraiser. Зараз секундочку. Це не фонд, це гроші підуть в 3-ю штурмову бригаду. Як тільки збереться сума $15,000, ці гроші будуть переведені в 3-ю штурмову, і це має бути все зроблено через офіційний фонд. У мене 2 дуже хороших друзів служать у 3-й штурмовій бригаді. Це все з ними, ця ініціатива продумана з ними, і також постійно комунікується з ними. І я можу дати вам позивні, але я не знаю, чи вони цього хочуть. Але так, це не піде на фонд, і це не я буду купувати дрони, це піде прямим переказом на 3-ю штурмову. Also, there was just a donation of $400, which brings us to $11,514.79, which is insane. And I'm sorry, I missed the name because I was explaining where these funds are going to go to someone Ukrainian who asked me which charities I'm donating to, and I was explaining that it goes straight to 3rd Assault, or will go straight to 3rd Assault. Also, someone just donated $24.30 something cents, which brought it to $11,539.11. But wow, hey, sorry, whoever that was, if you don't want to be if you don't want to publicly say that that's you, that's totally fine. Hi, Truthful. I think it was Frank. I'm pretty sure it was Frank. But hey, thank you very, very much. That was incredibly generous and quite wow. Yeah, thank you, thank you, Truthful. That was genuinely very, 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 very nice. And for для тих, хто питався на рахунок зборів, цей збір ведеться вже десь 1,5 місяця, якщо не 2. І по ньому ще немає звітності, тому що гроші ще не були переведені, але попередні збори, які ми робили і на 3-ю штурмову, і на 59-ту бригаду, і на всякі різні речі, то в мене на Твіттері, в принципі, все... Не в принципі, а в мене, якщо будете на Twitter X, як би це не називали, то якщо ви проскролуєте, то в мене були усі збори, і по всім ним ідуть звітності кожного разу, як вони закінчуються. Типу там скріншоти того, що відбувалося. Єдине, що по чому в мене немає, не те, щоб немає звіту, мій звіт є з мого боку. Типу я перекинула гроші на бригаду, і вони мали купити квадроцикл, але той підрозділ, який був в 59-й бригаді, вони відокремились від 59-ї бригади, і вони зараз перебазовуються на інший напрямок, і вони наразі зараз в Києві, і вони квадроцикл замовили, і вони до нього також поставили типу, за свої гроші типу, прицеп ззаду, на якому можна вивозити поранених. Але в мене немає фоток цього квадроциклу, тому що він не на фронті. І вони ще на фронті. А квадроцикл їде з Фінляндії. Тому це єдине, де я проштрафилася, але типу, я не маю, я також не можу, перепрошую за вислів, зайобувати військових, щоб вони мені надавали фотки всього, чого вони роблять. Але вони типу розуміють, що мені це потрібно для звітності, і коли він буде, то він буде. So, there is that. Yes, that was very exciting, and it was Frank. So thank you very, very much. Also, the Sun Express, Chesh from Chicago Oblast. Hi. Чи багато в чаті українців? Я не знаю. Чи вас багато зараз в чаті українців? If you're Ukrainian, hey, reveal yourself. And hi, Justin. Wait, Oreos. But you're not. What do you mean? Oh my gosh, you guys, there was привіт, Дніпро. There was a woman named Angela that used to come to lives every evening, but then she went back to college, and so she stopped coming to lives. And oh my gosh, Laurel. Laurel, thank you. It's at $11,599.72, and there was a donation before that, and I don't remember if I announced it, but I did count it into the total, and I'm so sorry if I didn't announce it because I just got lost, but it's in the total, and after the $50, it's $11,599.72. There we have it. But yes, so she went back to school, and she doesn't come anymore, but her handle was Oreos. And when you said Oreos, I thought maybe she came to YouTube from someone else's account. And I was like, wait, Angela? And then I was like, why are you Justin? And then I realized that you guys were just talking about Oreos. So that confused the heck out of me. But hi, Justin. And hello, everyone. Hi, Odin. And hello, Oleg from Dnipro. Yeah, so I guess we do have one Ukrainian. And maybe we have more, but they don't want to come forward. Also, so you guys, so you know how last time in the beginning of the live, I was reading you stories of Ukrainians from 2014. So actually, a friend of mine on Instagram, well, an online friend, sent me. So he, after I started publishing stories anonymously from Ukrainians who experienced the Russian invasion in 2014 in their native cities, mostly in eastern and southern parts of Ukraine, he asked his followers. His name is Corey.ua on Instagram, and I asked him for original screenshots, which are mostly in Ukrainian, and I'm going to translate them because I think that his translation might have been done through Google Translate, so I don't necessarily agree with half of it sometimes. But so once I translate them myself, I will also post them on my story and tag him on Instagram so you guys can, like, go, he talks about Ukraine. But he asks, yes, sure, of course, please do share your stories. And I always post stories anonymously. I think I don't want to put anyone in trouble or in danger, and I do understand that people who have relatives, for instance, in occupied territories are scared for their safety. So but so let me read you some more stories that his followers have sent him. So this one says, good evening, I'm from Kramatorsk and I lived there in 2014. A few months before the occupation of the city administration, a couple of weapons shops opened here. Very timely. And in a couple of months, random men were walking around and asking how and where to go and how to get from a place to place. Clearly not local because their accent was not the same as ours. So I want to point out that all of the Ukrainians that were Russian speaking until the full-scale invasion always say that the Russian accent is very different from a Ukrainian accent in Russian. And it is very true. So for instance, it's actually, before I continue this story, I want to say something that speaks to how much Russians absolutely always looked down on Ukrainians and deemed us to be much lower than them. So my grandfather is a professor at a university. He's a very highly accredited professor. He has a presidential award of honor. And he is Russian speaking at home while Ukrainian speaking at work. He speaks beautiful Ukrainian, beautiful Russian. He also speaks French still. And he's just overall a fantastic person. I really love my grandpa, but so that's not what we're talking about. The reason why I'm saying this is, the reason why I'm even mentioning it is for other matters. So my grandfather, as it turned out, his parents were Balkan and Baltic, and they were stripped of all of their, they were stripped of all of their wealth and all of their everything, and they were sent to Moscow to be to do like dirty work. So he grew up incredibly poor, and his entire life he thought he was Russian because that's what he was told to say by his parents, right? So he speaks Russian, and he speaks like, fluent Russian. So not Ukrainian accent Russian, actual Russian, right? My grandmother is Russian speaking too. Her Russian is, quite with a Ukrainian accent, even though she was pretty much born in a, closest thing to a gulag in Siberia. We don't know where in the Balkans because we did a DNA test, and so it's quite a wide area. But so my grandma, basically her grandparents were Ukrainians who were sent to a gulag, and she was born in Siberia. And she also thought she was Russian her whole life, except she knew her dad was Jewish and he was, he was in Siberia. Go figure how he ended up there. But anyways, so my grandfather speaks very fluent, very academic, very like Russian sounding Russian. And when I was growing up, because my grandpa is an educator, he would always make me read like poems from Russian writers, and he would correct my Russian pronunciation. So when I was growing up, I spoke very sort of like bougie St. Petersburg type of Russian. So then fast forward, when I moved to the United States, and I started meeting Russians, normally when you're from Ukraine and you start speaking Russian to them, they immediately know that you're from Ukraine. When I would speak Russian to them, they would ask me where in Russia I'm from, because my Russian was so passable for like St. Petersburg. And I would tell them I'm Ukrainian, and they would be like, "What? No way!" Because I don't sound like I'm from a village when I speak Russian. And then, when they would ask me where in Ukraine, I would say Lviv. Their jaws would drop because I'm supposed to be a Bandarnazi, which is like the first time that I've ever really heard that. I did not realize that Russians actually believe that we execute Russians in Ukraine. And then because my Russian was so Russian sounding, they just couldn't believe it. And so then at some point, maybe like 6 months into, oh, thank you, Niels, maybe like 6 months into, into us studying all together, I made a mistake in Russian. I said something that made no sense in Russian, and it was like very Ukrainianized, right? And these kids took it upon themselves to give me a nickname with the word that I said wrong or conjugated wrong. For the first time in 6 months, I said something wrong in Russian, right? It's a foreign language. It's a foreign language that I happen to know because, my country was like, colonized. But anyways, so it was one thing that I mispronounced, and I was given that word as a nickname, and I was being made fun of every freaking moment that they could, every single time. And that's on how much Russians look down on Ukrainians and Ukrainian accent in Russian. Meanwhile, let me say this again. It's a foreign fucking language. Yeah, we have a different pronunciation. And that's normal. The fact is that we shouldn't even be speaking that language, but we do because colonization. And it's so incredibly gross and speaks to how low Russians think of us that for the entire time that I was speaking to these kids, they just couldn't believe, and they were waiting and looking to find something that I did wrong to make fun of me because I'm just a dumb Ukrainian, and they couldn't find enough to make fun of me. So they waited for a fucking word that I mispronounced. And that's on how Russians look down on Ukrainians. Also on differences between accents and pronunciations and words and stuff like that. So yeah. Okay, good evening. I'm from Kramatorsk, and I lived there in 2014. A few months before the occupation of the city administration, a couple of weapons shops opened here. Very timely. And in a couple of months, random men were asking how to get from a place to place. Clearly not local, and I knew that because their accent was not the same as ours, because it was a Russian accent. Then, when people began to get to the square to find out about current events and who's in power now, then people started going to the main square and asking people around who's in power now, what the current events are, because it was not clear what was happening at all. Oh, Lviv air alert. Interesting. Some unknown people with weapons said, get behind the porebrik, or whatever you call it here. In Kramatorsk, no one says porebrik to describe a sidewalk. In the market, on the wall of one of the stalls, someone wrote in capital letters, Putin save us, they're killing us. This was back in early 2014. I remember when Yanukovych was elected president, there were a lot of insults and anti-public relations about Ukrainian speakers. People in Donbas spreading propaganda. People in Donbas it was propaganda spread to the people in Donbas. That they will force us to speak Ukrainian, that Donbas feeds the whole of Ukraine, that people from the west of Ukraine consider all Russian speakers in Donbas to be third class in general. Ooh, Shahids in Lviv. Okay, 1 second. Let me text my mom. One sec. Okay, so yeah. Okay. I come from the city of Horlivka. Та, але ніхто реально так не каже. В Краматорську, типу, ніхто не говорить. В оригінальному тексті написано ось так. Зараз. Я прочитаю українською, тому що, sorry, I'm gonna read this in the original language because first of all, the translation of this thing is not very great, and that's why I asked for original screenshots in Ukrainian, so I can translate them better once I have the time. But I'm gonna read this in Ukrainian because there is someone explaining what the word means. Окей. Бо було геть незрозуміло, що взагалі відбувається. То якісь невідомі люди зі зброєю казали «Отойдіть за поребрик» или «Как это у вас тут називається?». В Краматорську ніхто не каже «поребрик» на бордюр. That's what was the point. That's what was said, basically. Okay. I come from the city of Horlivka. This is in the Donetsk region. When the war started, I was 13 years old. In 2014, the DNR came to our city and chaos began. The DPR, basically the pseudo-republics. Every night we heard shells falling near our house. In the summer, my mother sent me to the last train to Kyiv, but she didn't make it. And the next day, they started bombing the city center. But later, I returned home. And from 2014 to 2018, we lived in this pseudo-republic. We didn't go because my mother didn't want to leave the house and she was afraid of losing her job. We didn't have the money to start life from scratch. Our friends, acquaintances, relatives were bombarded with Russian propaganda, and it was forbidden to even say the word Ukraine. If you were against the government, you could be taken to an unknown direction or simply shot. That would be izolatia. Izolatia is where people would be taken to be tortured. After 2018, I moved to the city of Bakhmut, and it was a shock to me that it is possible to live so well. But Russia, in 2023, Russia also destroyed that city. Once the most advanced region in Ukraine was completely destroyed and degraded by Russia. So also interestingly, I want to point something out. So Russian propaganda was telling people in Donbas, mostly coal miners, because there are a lot of coal miners there, that, they work super hard and the GDP of Luhansk and Donetsk is the largest in Ukraine. And they're feeding the whole country. Meanwhile, what they're getting in return is nothing. And it's just like Lviv billionaires are getting the money and drinking their coffee. So this was the message from the propaganda. Yes. Donetsk and Luhansk were the largest by GDP because of all the coal mining and industrial stuff. But the thing is, they are also the most expensive to maintain. So their GDP wasn't actually sustaining the oblasts. So a lot of different GDP. So for instance, Lviv doesn't require nearly as much investment into the state or into the region as like Donetsk and Luhansk did, because those are industrial. So for instance, even though their GDP was the highest in Ukraine, they were still taking a lot of money for maintenance and sustainability from other regions of Ukraine. So in reality, this propaganda wasn't true. And also, like, what Lviv billionaires were freaking drinking coffee. No, like Donetsk and Luhansk had their own oligarchs and their own rich people, and the government robbing them, and the same as the government robbing us, because until 2014, we were robbed blind by like people like Yulia and Yanukovych and Yatsenyuk and everyone else from that Soviet Putin loving crew. But yeah, so this entire narrative that it was like the eastern regions working and bringing in money and the western regions doing nothing and just using the money is not true, because Ukraine actually was distributing the money between the regions. And while Donetsk and Luhansk were bringing in a lot of money, they were also draining a lot of money for maintenance of these regions, because one of the things that was not done very well under all of these pro-Russian, super greedy and corrupt governors and mayors and people in power is the equipment in coal mines, and the technology was not being replaced, because that costs a lot of money. I'm not ignoring the siren. The siren is in Lviv. You guys, like, if there was a siren, I would not be live right now. The siren is in Lviv. I'm not ignoring it. Also, we just got a donation of $21, $11,620 and 72 cents is the total. I think it was the strongest area in Ukraine. Yes. So the thing is, there was a huge potential, right? And if it wasn't robbed blind, and if equipment was being changed, if the mines were modernized, if the factories were modernized, if if the industrial, if there was an industrial revolution, I don't mean like in a bad way, I don't mean like chaos, I mean like actually, if these things were reworked and maintained, yes, the things would be true and these regions would be skyrocketing. I mean, they were developing really well, but they would be skyrocketing. But the problem and the reason why these regions were draining so much money is because all of the corrupt politicians, oligarchs, and mayors and governors and stuff like that were not maintaining and were not modernizing equipment and work conditions in factories. So they were all still Soviet. And that's why it was like money in, money out. You know what I'm saying? So yes, the GDP was humongous, but so were the expenses. So yes, actually, there was chaos in the city back then. Russian troops entered. I definitely saw a Kamaz. Kamaz is a truck, is a type of truck, with Buryats in military uniform. Of course, they couldn't be locals. We hardly had anyone of Asian descent. During the fighting for the city, Travis sent 0.28 cents to bring the total to an even number. 1 second, sorry. As per usual. Oh, hi, Giddy. What was the last amount that I said? And I can check this, obviously, but it'll be much faster if I just add up the cents. Okay, give me 1 sec. Let me read this. Also, I'm so out of it today. I'm so sorry. Actually, there was chaos in the city back then. Russian troops entered. I definitely saw a Kamaz truck with Buryats. It was your whole plan. Soldiers in military uniform, in Russian military uniform. Of course, they couldn't be locals. We hardly had anyone with Asian descent. During the fighting for the city, these terrorists would deliberately drive out and place military equipment near residential buildings, shoot from them, and then flee. Well, if there was any response, it was so that civilians would suffer. Also, during their escape from the city, they would steal cars from locals. Our acquaintance's bus was found far outside the city. They wanted to escape on it. In July 2014, our city was liberated by the Ukrainian army, and I personally went to greet them. I come from Mariupol. I was only a child when there was Maidan, 2014 Revolution of Dignity. So I don't remember it well, but I remember one day on January 24th, 2015, when the Sydney neighborhood was shelled. It was 15 to 20 minutes by car from my house. It was etched in my memory forever over time. Mariupol was then considered a frontline city, and over the years we heard some explosions, but unfortunately we got used to it when the first quarantine came. Then everything froze, and then 2022 came, full-scale invasion of Ukraine. I'm from Donetsk. When the occupation started, I was 9. In general, everything began as described by the girl in the past story. Strange people began to appear in the streets. She's 100% right. Those were not local. They were very different in appearance and accent. Although everyone spoke Russian then, but in Ukraine, Russian always sounded softer, and these people had a strong Moscow accent. They started spreading propaganda. That Donetsk is a separate republic, that we feed all of Ukraine and we need to separate. There were protests, both pro-Ukrainian and pro-Russian. I don't know a single person who was on the pro-Russian side. They were all random people. The first victim at the pro-Ukrainian rally was on March 13th. I remember it well because that day was my father's birthday. These strange people were armed and often pointed their weapons at civilians. You could literally be killed for speaking Ukrainian or your position. I had a situation in school when my mother was called to school because my classmates and I sang the national anthem of Ukraine, which was in the school program because it was dangerous. I also heard the fighting over the airport. My parents also told me that these carpets were knocked out. Sorry, what is that? Oh, my parents were telling me that people were just cleaning their rugs. You know, in Ukraine, you basically put you would put rugs onto like monkey bars, and you would start like beating them. So you would get rid of the dust. So she heard explosions, and her parents were trying to say that that's not explosions. It's just like, rugs being beaten, basically. At the beginning of June 2014, my parents took me away. We went to Kyiv to visit my parents' friends for 2 weeks. It'll be 10 years in a few months. Parents went to Donetsk several times to pick up some things. Mom continued to go there to see her doctor, oncology, every 6 months to a year. And my mother told us how phones, correspondence, absolutely everything was checked at checkpoints. Sometimes children were simply taken off buses and never returned. They never took me with them, although I really wanted to go. Continuing on Donetsk occupation, I was preparing for my high school exam, and I was about to take ZNO, it's kind of like SATs, in my city, Donetsk. Yet things became murky there starting from March. My graduation from high school in May was happening in a very different and quieter city. We were all told not to go to the administrative building. I remember when it got taken down by someone we were calling back then separatists. Right after that, all Ukrainian TV channels stopped working. Instead, they turned off propaganda channels of so-called DNR. I remember one was called Upload. Shelling started right after. On the TV, they were saying that it's all Ukrainian army killing Donbas people. All of my classmates were seeing people with weapons with accents. One of my friends at the time actually saw artillery of the so-called DNR that was placed in front of her house in the middle of the city. They were doing it on purpose. It became the main tactic for all these years. They were using civilians as the shield, and then they'd blame Ukrainian army for killing Donbas people. Unfortunately, my family is still there. All these years, they lived in occupied Donetsk and eventually became Russians with the help of propaganda. My cousin, who was 9 when Donetsk was occupied, got drafted to the Russian army when he turned 18. So I'd say it resonates with me when I hear all these stories about Russia turning Ukrainian kids into Russians and then using them as their cannon fodder. So these are the stories that I was sent. And yeah. Дякую. Actually, I found out, so interestingly, there is someone Belarusian who says, hello from Belarusian partisans, we are with you, right? And so actually there is this security guard in my building. So I have like security in the building, which is like a pretty typical thing in newer buildings in Kyiv. And one of them is here like all the time. I think he's one of the senior security guards. He knows most of the people. You know, he's here very often. And so because this is Kyiv, most of them are primarily Russian speaking, but I speak Ukrainian to them, so they speak Ukrainian to me, right? And then this one guy usually responds in Russian, and I was like so confused why he doesn't respond in Ukrainian, because actually he like really likes me. We have really great conversations, and I was just like, why is he so principally speaking Russian? And then I asked him where he was from, and he's actually Belarusian. And so he recently started speaking a mix of Russian, Belarusian, and Ukrainian to me, which I find actually very endearing, because some words in Belarusian are similar to Ukrainian, but they mean a completely different thing. And turns out that he has been living in Ukraine since 2007 because he met a woman and moved here for her. He was living in Germany for most of his existence. And he then, well, that didn't work out, but then he met another Ukrainian. He decided to stay anyway. He met another Ukrainian woman, and they got married. They have a kid, and he served in the Belarusian Legion in Ukraine in Kostos-Kalinowski regiment, and he has 3 injuries in his back that make him incompatible with serving further, and that's why he now has a civilian job. But he's very I actually really like him. He's very sweet, and he was like showing me how because I asked him if he speaks Belarusian, and he does. But he's like, yeah, of course, in Belarus until recently, everybody spoke mostly Russian, but now Belarusian is like coming back full force. And he's been showing me how he's been downloading all of these like Belarusian songs and, all of these poems in Belarusian. And he's like, because I was like, like Belarusian is really coming back strong in Belarus. And he's like, oh, I know, I have all of them. And he whipped out his phone and he was like, I have all the music downloaded. I'm like, I'm kind of like with the times. I know exactly what's happening. I've been doing I've been like brushing up on my things. I've been downloading all the music. I've been keeping up with all the resistance. I've still been keeping in touch with the regiment. I'm helping the guys and the girls. And it was just like so cute because it was so cute because I was like, oh, did you know that it's coming back? And he's like, yes. He's like, check this out. I am way ahead of you. And I thought it was very sweet. Here's the thing. I think that, and this is something that people who are Belarusian in these comments are probably not going to like me saying, but I don't like Tsikhanovskaya, sorry. I think that she is really not a strong leader, and she's not like the best, but I do think that the best Belarusian resistance are the people in 3 various Belarusian legions, and I hope that someone from that resistance is going to stand up for Belarus and actually be a reasonable leader and someone who can be a good president for Belarus, because so far with Tsikhanovskaya, she's been acting kind of like, entitled and useless and really not helpful in taking back her country. And I think that the Belarusian people, especially those who have been showing so much resistance, deserve better, Hey, Liv! She doesn't have enough money, well, but she's also entitled. Like, she was basically telling Zelensky that we owe it to Belarus to like free it, basically, and to like go with their agenda and whatever. And it's like we're in the middle of a full scale invasion that the territory of Belarus is currently facilitating. So like, anyways, her attitude is just really entitled, and I don't like it. And I also don't think that she's a strong leader. I think they can do better, and they deserve better. So here is a quote from Armin for today. Honestly, I cry sometimes when no one sees. I really miss my hometown, Donetsk, in Ukraine, where my childhood was. Tatiana Shmaluk, lead singer of the group Ginger. So see, the person who's from Belarus says this is actually very important. Tsikhanovskaya works for the Kremlin, and there are many, and there is a lot of evidence for that. So the interesting thing is, she ran on the platform. Well, so she, before the full-scale invasion, one of her platforms was that relationship with Russia has to be stronger. She was singing praise to Putin and talking about how amazing he is and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that Belarus deserves much better than her. And I did not know that there is a lot of evidence that she works for Russia or for the Kremlin. I just really didn't like her because her position was very iffy. She was entitled. She was basically acting like our government owes her to put her in power. And then she was also like, she flipped a switch. She was very pro-Putin and pro-Russia, and then suddenly was like, Я докладно. Ага. Ну, якщо ви можете мені написати в приватні повідомлення, типу як в ці в меседжі, то я би дуже була вдячна. Well, it's not the only Belarusian opposition. Kalinovsky Regiment. There are 3 Belarusian regiments in Ukraine currently, and they're all fantastic. So it's not just the Kalinovsky Regiment. It's also 2 other regiments. So I wouldn't say it's the only opposition. They do have more, but yes, the strongest Belarusian opposition are the men and women who fight in the Ukrainian army at the moment. And also the people in Belarus who sabotage railroads and like the people from the partisan movement within Belarus that have been like sabotaging and that have been leaking info and that have basically been spies within their own country. And there are quite a few of those. You guys, my mom still hasn't responded to me when I said that Shaheeds are en route. Are the Crimean partisans working? Yes, the Shaheeds are en route, and my dad hasn't responded to me when I said that Shaheeds are en route. I am not seeing what the developments are on Lviv at the moment, and I haven't seen. I don't think the air raid has been turned off. Well, Kat, I can't call them because I need this phone. I need this phone to call them. Let me see the updates though. Okay. All right, Levich. Sorry, I have do what you need to do. Ви можете написати. Тобто щоб мені написати, не потрібно цей. Ви можете в мене відкриті повідомлення. Так що ви можете мені писати в будь-якому випадку. All right, you guys. I think I need to go call my parents. And I don't know if I really want to do that on live. Also, we just got, thank you, Lynn. We just got a donation of $17. And Lynn, please tell me it was 17 something. It was $17. And okay. Okay. Zdravko Avdalovic, the troll, please, the Serbian troll, please go. Zdravko is a very Serbian name. Hope mom and tato are okay. I'm sure they're okay. 1764. Thank you. I'm sure they're okay, but I want to make sure because my dad is not answering, and he's the type of person who sleeps through air alerts. I have to get that from someone, I do get that from someone, from him. And my mom sometimes ignores them. So I'm going to end this for now. I'm going to try to call them. I'm also going to try to wake up my aunt because shaheeds are not, that's not fun. And those usually, they hit random buildings and stuff like that. So I'm sorry if I don't come back because it's 2 a.m. and I'm pretty sure that by the time I'm done calling everybody in my family, it's going to be like 2:20. But I want to make sure that they're okay. There hasn't been an air alert in Lviv for a while. And I'm just not gonna be able to concentrate until I talk to them, and it's not like, I'm sure they're okay, but I just, for my own okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna go. I just need peace of mind. Okay. All right. I love you all. Thank you very much. Okay. Bye, guys. Bye. Okay. Bye.